video, I thought I would create just a little mini tutorial for those of you who are struggling to make that final exit from Bujapidasana or Supta Kurmasana in the Ashtanga Yoga primary series sequence and have just kind of gotten stuck there. And so this will kind of give you some ideas of things that you can work on to try and build that strength. And more than anything, it seems like it's actually the courage to just trust a little bit more in your ability to get that lift and make that transition. It will require you to be warmed up. So want to be sure that before you kind of go into this, that you've done a little bit of your practice. So some sun salutations would be a good place to start. We will use a couple blocks to give us height, and that's just going to kind of help us to give a little more clearance to make the movement a little bit easier initially, and then you'll wean from the blocks. And then the other thing that I thought you could use is a bolster or a pillow or something, so that if you do go a little bit too far forward, because it does require you to trust and go forward, that you have something soft to land on, because your first face plant is a little bit scary. And after that, it's not quite as bad. If you practice the Ashtanga Yoga Primer Series, you know that these two poses come after Navasana. And Navasana really wakes up the muscles deep within the abdomen, hugging the spine, getting your core really engaged, hopefully your pelvic floor as well. And so let's go ahead and also take our Navasana. Jump through, and obviously the blocks help, and then come into your Navasana. And we're here for 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Cross one over the other, lift up, and come back into it. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Now cross the other way, lift up, and come back into it. It's the third time. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Go ahead and see if you can get that jump back. So inhale, lift up, and exhale, jump back. Inhale your upward facing dog, and exhale your downward facing dog. So now here's where, coming into Bujapidasana, it's like leapfrog. And so I don't know how many of you remember when you were a kid, there was that game where it was almost like you went into sort of a child's pose. You kind of went like this, and everybody went around, and the person that was doing the leapfrog would come around, they'd hop up, and they'd leapfrog over the other person and sit down, and then they would kind of go around in a circle. So that's what coming into Bujapidasana is like. Now there's some tips. And we'll go through that first without using your blocks. Okay, so you're in your down dog. You exhale. You squat down in your nice little crouch, and you're going to propel your hips up and forward. And you land here. Okay? And so here you're like, this doesn't quite feel right. So what you can do, and hopefully you can see me, is you can kind of get, like, tuck under and get as far under this calf muscle as you can, and get on the other side and get as far under And then you set your legs down, and as you drop your tush down, engage your core and your pelvic floor, and you should find that as your torso drops down, your feet rise. Okay, I got them crossed, but now how do I get it through, right? There's not a lot of space. So this is when the blocks come in handy. Now, it's a little scarier because you're higher up. If you fall forward or you fall down, it's going to be a little bit farther, but not that much farther. And I'll tell you what, it gives you a whole lot more clearance. So, let's see what that looks like, okay? So your hands are firmly, firmly solid on the blocks, and the blocks are even so that your hands are in line with each other. And it's the same setup. Inhale, exhale, crouch, inhale, hop forward, okay? You tuck under as much as you can. You set this down, and then you come through and you cross over. And then when you come forward, you've got space. You've got space. Now you don't want to just drop your head down. Ideally, you move your chin towards the mat. We're inhaling our courage. And we're exhaling, finding strength in this nice crouch. Inhale. And exhale. And with courage, inhale, come forward. All right, we're here. We tucked under, we lift up. And maybe you just stay here, all right? And notice this is like a good place to be. And you can come from here and you can work on coming back to your crow and shooting. And you're crouching. Inhale, let's go. And we're here. All right. And this is a little too close. All right, crossover. Actually, it's supposed to be right on top. Come through. Try and get your chin towards that mat. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Inhale up. You can kind of come into a Bujapidasana or not. You come here, you hold for, and then you shoot back. And as you shoot back, what you're doing is you're leaning this half of your body forward as that part of your body goes back. And just for the sake of showing you the exit with the Supta Kurmasana, it's the same, but it's slightly different. You can't use the blocks because they just get in the way when you're doing the full pose. So here you just have to kind of go with it. And I'll show you what it looks like. So you're here. I like to find the engagement and try and lower down. It kind of wakes up those muscles of my serratus anterior, really getting everything engaged. I'm going to wiggle my hands through, and then I'm going to straighten them and straighten my legs. And as I do, I'm trying to internally spiral my legs so that they hug and squeeze my body. Okay? And then, as they do, maybe they get so strong, so engaged, that they lift up off the mat. And from here, they're pushing down on my hands. They actually can secure my midsection so that I can reach forward and find some length in my spine. That feels really nice here. And then you're going to work towards the bind. So this is 5 breaths here, and then you come into Supta Kurmasana. Now I have to wiggle my feet in a little bit, okay? So wiggle my feet in so that I can get my hands around. And not quite. So maybe I use my shirt today. I can hold on to my shirt. And I can come here. And once I have that, maybe, I can bring my feet a little closer together. And maybe I can cross them, or maybe not. And after the 5th breath, you come out of it. So you bring your hands forward and under you. Inhale up, come back into Bakasana, and shoot back. So hopefully you got some little tidbit from this that you can use and take into your practice. I hope that was helpful. Namaste.